We're having another soft intro day, and this is the sound of beautiful, delicious iced coffee for a nice summer day. You know, summer is ending this week. I read somewhere that the fall equinox is taking place, I think on today, maybe tomorrow. I don't even remember. But here we are, another soft opening, because the pre-announcement on Facebook is still busted. But just as I was getting ready to begin this broadcast, I realized that the nice folks at Ecamm Live, the company that makes the software that I use to broadcast, has released an update. So we are going to get started as usual at 10:30. But if you're here early and you want to say, hello, Karen. Hello, Karen Kelleher, and hello, Karen Smith. I love it. So it's only the three of us here. How cozy is that? I hope you guys have a good beverage. And of course, one of the big questions for this morning is going to be, did you feel last night's earthquake? And we'll get into that in a second. Hello, Marianne. It's great to see you. Hello, Mihal. I hope you come home soon. It's like we keep talking about how we miss you. Hello, Christine. Hello, Starla. Starla, what a great name. I love it. And look at all that hair. Oh my goodness. I love it. We're having a nice little cozy, soft introduction or soft morning as the Facebook pre-announcement is busted, but not tomorrow. Tomorrow it's going to be perfect. Oh, look at all of these comments coming in. I hope Luna was not disturbed by the latest earthquake in the middle of the night. We were both tossing and turning, and we'll talk about that in a second. Let's see, David always joins us. How nice to see you, David. From Soggy, south of Boston suburb. I love it. Hello, Sherry. Hello, Sherry. It's great to see you. It's great to see you all as you're coming in. Troy has been away because of surgery. I hope you're recovering well. It's great to see you, Troy. Thank you very much. Oh no, Karen had stuff falling off the shelves. Well, I will be showing you today the perfect motion detector so that we don't have any mishaps in the future. It's something that I found online, and I thought it was absolutely funny. Anyhow, oh my God, it's 10:29. Let me just make sure that we have everything in order to get started our broadcast officially at 10:30. I think everything looks good. And there's already 54 of us here, which is absolutely wonderful. Again, I don't know how many of you rely on the pre-announcement to find us, but just in case some of you do, this is why we're doing this today. Hopefully tomorrow we'll go back to business as usual. Oh my God, this is a loaded question. Are all artists sketchy people? I love it. I love it. Okay, we're going to turn the perky music off. There you go. And we will acknowledge that Marie is shaken but not stirred. That makes two of us. And with that said, it is 10:30. Let's get this show on the road. Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Coffee and Headlines, our morning get-together live here on Facebook. 2 days in a row, we've had soft openings because the Facebook pre-announcement system got modifications, and the software that I used to broadcast was not updated until this morning. But I'm kind of getting used to this idea of doing like pre-show warm-ups or whatever. I don't know what you think about that. I see that Sherry commented on the music that I was playing, which is now playing again, but then I'll forget to turn it off. Let me just turn it off. Anyhow, this is Coffee and Headlines, our morning get together with news, headlines, comments, ideas, and suggestions from local sources, media sources, from you, from newspapers, from around the country, so that we can take the best information we can and have an amazing life here in Puerto Vallarta as a community of English-speaking locals. Today, we are going to talk about more earthquake stuff because we had another one last night. I don't know if you felt it. I felt it. We're going to have details about that. And we're going to have a couple of other news items. We're going to have snarky, ironic reactions to Protección Civil's reports, or Civil Protection Department's reports on the earthquake. And today we're going to dive deep into the world of EJIDO land. EJIDO land is a phrase that gets used quite frequently, and this is an afterthought of yesterday's broadcast, because yesterday we had a walking tour of Colonia Paso del Molino, which is gorgeous, and it's pretty, and it's surrounded by nature and all that good stuff. But it is EJIDO land, which means that you cannot just go in there and move in. So we'll explain all of that, along with some announcements and reminders of events that are coming up, not to mention our very own get-together this afternoon. So we might as well get started with the news. So the question everybody's asking is, did you feel the one from last night? I was awake again, tossing and turning, when I heard news. I heard the dogs barking, and then boom, there it was. Preliminary reports indicate that it was a magnitude 6.5 with an epicenter 81 kilometers south of Coalcomán in the state of Michoacán, where unfortunately at least one person has been reported dead. It wasn't as strong here in Puerto Vallarta, but it was definitely something that we felt. And I hope everybody is doing okay out there. I love the irony on this one. This news item was written yesterday by Milton Colmenares for Vallarta Independiente, where he states that Gerardo Alonso Castillon, who is Director of Civil Protection Services here in Puerto Vallarta, announced that there are no structural damages in our city as a result of Monday's earthquake. And of course, Vallarta Independiente chooses to use this photograph as the introduction to this news item. Of course, when the lovely Gerardo Alonso Castillon, who directs Civil Protection Services, was asked about all the videos and photos posted on social media about damaged buildings, the director minimized the damage. But here is the double whammy irony. The same writer, Milton Colmenares, also wrote yesterday this other news item about two schools, one in La Aurora here in Puerto Vallarta, and another one downtown that had to be closed because they suffered structural damages. So did we suffer structural damages or did we not? My personal takeaway is I find no fault in the writer, of course, as he's simply reporting the news, but it has always seemed interesting to me how local authorities seem to live our reality as a tourism destination with such panic that it might crumble at any moment, that they often choose to, as we say in Spanish, tapar el sol con un dedo, which literally means cover the sun with a finger, which really means trying to minimize or conceal what is evident to the naked eye. So I don't know what you think about that. I don't know if you've sensed that this happens a lot in Puerto Vallarta. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And of course, in the meantime, somebody has come up with a perfect solution for what to do, how to be prepared for an earthquake. And I show you a truly Mexican motion detector solution that you can install in your home. It is very affordable. If you're concerned about future earthquakes, all you have to do is install this in your home and boom, boom. You know, you will not be startled by the earthquake. You will be startled by this chingadera falling on the ground. And then, of course, you have to get up and, be scared and all that good stuff. Anyhow, here's a quick reminder for those of you who have children or know someone that does, that the upcoming one-day only pediatric vaccination campaign for children ages 5 to 11 will take place this coming Saturday at La Lija. And you know the drill. If you have a minor, you have to go there with your minor. Your minor cannot show up by himself or herself. Paperwork needs to be brought. And while we're at it, there are also vaccines available for adults in town until the end of October at most local health centers. And we had already announced that before. For those of you who insist in saying that we live in paradise, here's a nice reminder that paradise comes with caca water included. It is still happening in Colonia Díaz Ordaz, and it stinks, literally and figuratively. But such is paradise, I suppose. No, seriously, if you are looking for a house or an apartment to rent in this neighborhood, make sure to ask your trusty real estate agent about the caca water, just to see if their mindset is similar to that of our civil protection director, or if they answer truthfully. Oh no, we don't have any sewage problems in Puerto Vallarta. Everything's gonna be wonderful in your apartment in Díaz Ordaz when you rent it. Oh no, you will not have any problems with drainage or sewage. Ha ha ha. And to keep the caca water flowing, may I present to you Tropical Depression 15E. It is presently located near Manzanillo and headed our way with rain forecasted for the rest of the week. Let's see what our snarky carrot weatherman has to say about that. And of course for that, I would have to turn the snarky carrot weatherman on and not forget about him. There you go. Few people are aware that the oath of office is actually an ancient right that grants the president with the superpower to declassify any document just by thinking about it. Not my words. It's Snarky Weather's. I have no idea what Snarky Weather is talking about this morning. Of course I don't. 27 degrees feels like 31. Humidity, 100%. So prepare to schwitz all day long. It is Fahrenheit degrees is 80 degrees right now. And our weather forecast for this morning says rain until evening with a high of 31 and a low of 25. On Friday, rain in the evening and overnight with a high of 31 and a low of 25. And on Saturday, possible light rain in the morning with a high of 31 and a low of 24. And I'm seeing some of your questions, and some of them are darling, but we'll get to them in a second. We are now going to dive into the world of EJIDO land. Yes, but this is not going to be the world of EJIDO land like your real estate agent is bound to talk about it. This is the world of EJIDO land in Mexico, coffee and headlines style. You see, there is a whole history behind EJIDO land, and that is exactly what we're going to dive into today. So get comfy, because we start back in the days of the Mexican conquest, the Spanish domination of Mexico, which, as we have already established, went on for 300 years until our independence of 1810. During the Spanish domination, indigenous people were not allowed to own their own land. So the Spanish came here and said, oh, this is lovely. This land is ours. The land where they lived, the indigenous people, was assigned to the Spaniards, who forced them to work the fields and who exploited the population. But of course, then came the Mexican independence, which you may recall, we found out that it went on for 11 years, from 1810 to 1821. But right as the Independence War was over, the newly formed Mexican government failed to pay close enough attention to how to distribute the land properly. And I'm talking about the land that was owned by the Spaniards during their period. This was not done in an orderly fashion. Think about it. It's 1121. Mexico is independent, but who owns this land where my house is? Oh, we'll get to that later. We'll get to that later. So Mexico failed to pay attention to this itty-bitty little detail. So the land was claimed by few and not distributed in any kinds of organized fashion. But 35 years after the Mexican independence ended, in 1856, while Ignacio Comonfort was president of Mexico, interim president, I might say, he approved a law that is known today as the Lerdo Law. And this is because its principal promoter was Revenue Minister Miguel Lerdo de Tejada. And what was this law about? Well, let's start with the full name, and the full name will explain some of it. The law was called La Ley de Desamortización de Fincas Rústicas y Urbanas, Propiedad de Corporaciones Civiles y Eclesiásticas. Take that. Actually, that translates to Law of Disentailment or of Urban and Rustic Properties Owned by Civil Corporations and the Church. Hold on to that last three words, to those last three words, and the Church. Now, why this law and why at that time? That's a really good question. Thank you for asking. At that time, and I mean the 1850s, it was clear to the Mexican government that a tremendous agricultural boom was taking place in the United States, just north of the border. So in an effort to jumpstart a similar movement in Mexico, the Mexican government comes up with a Lerdo Law, which was severely opposed. You know, this business of, taking away property from people that previously owned it seemed disgraceful. But who opposed it? Well, the clergy, of course, the church, because, part of the law included the fact that the church could not acquire or hold on to land to enrich itself. You have to think about this for a second. In the 1800s, after the independence was over, the Catholic Church was a huge, huge landlord in post-colonial Mexico. The church came with the Spaniards. So, of course, the Spaniards gave the church the privilege of owning land. And the church did that. The church was the landlord. They rented buildings. They rented houses. They charged for weddings. They charged for baptism, and so forth and so on. I mean, just look around Mexico. Go to any large city or medium-sized cities in Mexico, and you will find extravagantly huge churches that were built during this period. Where do you think the church got the moolah to build them? Well, the church was a rich business person or business identity. So all of a sudden, the Mexican government comes in and says, no, you cannot own that land because you're a church. They were not happy. But the 1857 Constitution is very clear on this matter. In Article 27 of the 1857 Constitution, it became official that the church could not own land in Mexico or administer real estate, with the exception of buildings specifically devoted to praying or doing churchy things. Tómala. This means today that if you are the Church of Guadalupe, for example, can own that piece of land, but the Church of Guadalupe cannot be involved in developing condos here, there, or anywhere. Anyhow, back to the Lerdo Law. It was abolished 2 years later, of course, after it came out, but the liberals insisted, and in 1859, Benito Juárez, who was interim president of Mexico, decreed the nationalization of all lands owned by the church. Tómala. Period. You own land, it's not yours, it belongs to the Federation. Take that. And a few years later, in 1863, when he officially became president, a new law was decreed that described empty lots as those that had not been previously destined for public use by anyone before, granting every Mexican the right to come before a judge and claim as many as 2,500 hectares of land as their own at a reasonable price. And this included foreign investors, because at the time, Benito Juárez believed that this would bring much needed funds, pesos, mula, to the federal budget. Unfortunately, this particular law, there were all kinds of abuses, people that acquired land. Again, one of the most notorious was, well, do you remember Citizen Kane? Citizen Kane is about the life and legacy of a certain Charles Foster Kane, but it is well documented that Charles Foster Kane was a fictional composite character based on, among others, American media baron William Randolph Hearst, grandfather of the infamous Patty Hearst, and American media baron Joseph Pulitzer, known for the prizes named after him. Now, why do I bring these gentlemen up? Well, because this William Randolph Hearst, who was pretty loaded, ended up acquiring millions of hectares in the state of Chihuahua. And at the time, Baja California was pretty much owned by a company called Colorado Rivers Land Company that came down here and exploited Mexicans that worked in huge cotton fields in the Mexicali Valley. So much for distributing the land of Mexico in a fair and democratic way. Anyhow, these ginormous properties were known as latifundios, and their owners were known as latifundistas. And this is a problem that prevailed for quite a few years until after the Mexican Revolution. When the Mexican Revolution of 1910 was over, people thought that the latifundios would become a thing of the past. But once again, this is a promise that was made by the rebels that was not fulfilled. It wasn't until January 6, 1915, that a law was decreed by the newly formed National Agrarian Commission that invalidated all concessions made to latifundistas or ginormous property owners. Take that, Rosebud. You came and bought a bunch of hectares of property in Chihuahua. Well, not Citizen Kane, but Randolph Hearst. You know, it was just taken away from them. It's like, you think you own land in Mexico? Think again. No more. So this gave way to the beginning of Mexico's agrary reform period, the largest in Latin America. And this period went from 1920 to 1934. Lázaro Cárdenas, who we see here, and who we know as a cute little park in Colonia Emiliano Zapata, where a farmer's market sets shop, was president of Mexico at the time. And it is estimated that under his supervision, 2/3 of all land and forests and such property throughout Mexico was distributed among people that worked the land. And this stayed in place and continued by many presidents that followed him until 1992, when Carlos Salinas de Gortari became president of Mexico, and he ended the agrarian reform. But this is a big topic. We are not going to get into that one today. But the bottom line is Salinas de Gortari said, you know, we don't have any more land, so we have to end this agrarian reform. We don't have any more land to establish more ejidos. So today, what is an ejido, and can you live in one, and so forth and so on? It is still a complicated question that needs to be answered by a professional, by a lawyer, by a good real estate agent, not the kind that promises everything like the Protección Civil guy does. Today, an ejido piece of land is one that the government gives the inhabitants of a community so they can fulfill the projects that their ejido assembly finds necessary for the community. Ejido land is therefore federal property that can be used collectively but cannot be inherited or sold. Ejido land can be classified in 3 types: destined for a community to live, destined for a community to work and prosper, or destined to be shared in parcels by individual members of the ejido. Case in point, the Canopy River operation up the river, up the Rio Cuale, it is owned by the EJIDO. It is the EJIDO that runs it. It is the EJIDO that sets up the prices and so forth and so on, and it benefits the EJIDO themselves. Presently, it is estimated that there are about 32,000 ejidos in Mexico, with over 5.6 million ejidatarios, or people living in them. In other words, over half of the land in Mexico is used, possessed, but not owned by ejidos or agrarian communities. So that is our quick and dirty background check on ejido land, where it came from, where it stands, the end. Yay! Before we go on to your comments, I want to, of course, remind you that we have a get-together this afternoon. And also, our nice friends from the Corazón Walking Tours are having a couple of shindigs this weekend. One is on Saturday, going up the river, walking. If you want to join them, this will be on Saturday at 9 a.m. And then on Sunday, they're doing a more challenging picnic walk all the way to the... Oh, no, I take that back. The Saturday is the more challenging one. This is the one that goes to Jorullo, Rio Cuale, and the Sunday one goes... Oh, no, they're both user-friendly, because one goes to the Rio Cuale, which is where I like to go, and the other one goes to El Salto Waterfalls, which is where I went with them before. So this is for you to consider if you would like. And now let me take a quick look at your comments. Let's have comment music. We never have comment music, but I'm going to turn this on again. Why not? Okay, so let's see. We have good mornings. We have good mornings. And more good mornings. I love it. Pat asks, are you early or is my clock shook up? No, I was early, as we announced previously, just to make sure that everybody had enough time to hop in and join our broadcast. But I believe, again, that as of tomorrow, we will be back to our usual pre-announcement routine. Chris asked this very, very interesting question earlier today. Are all artists sketchy people? And I don't know if you were being funny and punny, or if you had a bad incident with an artist. So now I'm curious, Chris. Please feel free to let us know. Let's see. Karen Keller. More good mornings. More good mornings. Kimberly is in Dallas. Let's see. Luisa and Luke are still, getting around dealing with the earthquakes. I love it. Huevos revueltos again. It was scary. Scrambled eggs. I love it. Rod likes the pre-show. Maybe we'll do pre-shows every now and then. It means that I need to be ready to go 5 minutes earlier, and sometimes that's a reality, and sometimes it just isn't. Let's see. Buenos dias. Still amazed to say that I must be in a good zone. Sure, not feeling anything to alarm me. There you go. I like that. I thought about your comment yesterday regarding how an earthquake at night would frighten you. Hopefully you weren't too frightened. I thought I would be frightened, but then okay, so I take my brownies at night to sleep well. So if I'm awake, I'm a little woozy. So for better or worse, if we had a big one in the middle of the night, I'm going to die in the middle of it because I'm going to be too stoned to get up and do something about it. And that's just the truth. Let's see what else. Raymond is looking forward to tonight's mixer at Whiskey Kitchen. I am looking forward to that too, today from 6 to 8. Someone is giving a good surprise and somebody else is giving another good surprise. So it's going to be full of surprises. That's all I know. Let's see. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Love your show, coming in October, and will be living in the Marina Vallarta area and would love to join you on the walks, get-togethers, etc. Maria, it is great to read you. Thank you very much for that comment. There are activities that we do where people join, and there are activities where it's just me and my camera. But we have these periodic get-togethers, and I'm sure that if you're going to become a full-time resident, you will hear about these coming on. Let's see what else is going on. My friend from Mexico City hangs wind chimes in her bedroom as an earthquake warning alarm. That's a good idea. That wouldn't work for me because I have wind chimes in my apartment and they're wind operated. So, but wind chimes at home are a lovely thing to have regardless. Question, what street is that in Díaz Ordaz, says Karen Smith. I have two answers for you, Karen. One of them is, you will find it in the article that you will find in the show notes. And the other answer is, I don't remember, but if you take a deep breath and it smells funny, you will probably be standing in it. Hopefully not on it. Let's see. If earthquakes continue like this, my brother-in-law in Morelia is going to run out of underwear. Ooh, stinky. Let's see. More good mornings. Brenda says we get lots of days with 100% humidity in Texas. Stay cool, everyone. There you have it. Let's see. Oh, here's a cue. It annoys me to no end when any negative but true reports on Puerto Vallarta are censored, declined by the administrator of a certain immensely popular Facebook group. Tourism rules. Well, I will tell you, Marie, I don't know who you are referring to, but I do react strongly like you seem to do when negative news are minimized. And, whereas we will not obsess on the bad stuff that happens here at Coffee and Headlines, we're never going to talk about how many people died, and we're not going to obsess about the crimes. We're also not going to sugarcoat the news either. And that has been one of the founding principles of what we do here. So thank you for bringing that up, and know that the moment Coffee and Headlines start sugarcoating things, then we want to be slapped, because that's not what we came here to do. Let's see. The Catholic Church had, in past tense, a lot of influence politically in Mexico. That is why it is separated of the government when you get married. Well, Angelica, I appreciate your comment, but I think the Catholic Church still has a lot of influence politically in Mexico, and this is unfortunate. Every now and then, the cardinals and rulers of the church will come up with these. Well, let's not even go there. But by the book, there's supposed to be a strong divide between church and state. Sometimes it does not happen that way. Deb says, reminding me of Tomala. Oh, I hope that was a good reminder. Let's see. Thank you for the history. Let's see. That music makes me smile. I love it. I will put it on every single day, but I would have to remember to turn it off. Let's see what else. Sorry, I apologize, Paco, Oscar, another PB friend. I saw that you posted a mouthful earlier, but since it didn't have a cue, I simply ignored it. And this, my friends, brings us to the end of Coffee and Headlines for today. I hope you enjoyed the broadcast, and I hope you had a good time, and I hope you learned something new, and I hope you appreciate it. If you did, you know that the best way to appreciate is by going up to buymeacoffee.com/Ojeda and pursuing a membership, or buying us a few coffees here and then. This is what helps us get this going and keeps us doing what we do. As always, I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow. I look forward to seeing you this afternoon at Whiskey Kitchen if you're in town between now and then and between now and tomorrow. Stay happy, stay kind, stay healthy. Build your own motion detectors at home. And if things start getting shaky, well, you'll know what to do. Have a good one.